Some of the biggest dreams that I ever had that came true started from ideas that seemed so ridiculous and imperfect to me that I didn't even dare share them with anybody. Because at the time, they just felt small and not ready. But what I learned was that's exactly how it's supposed to be in the beginning. Things are supposed to start small and imperfect. So if you've got dreams or plans that you're just kind of hanging on to because you're waiting for that right moment, then you need to hear this. When I first started in this business, I thought you had to have everything perfect. Like you needed the right gear, you had to have the right team around you, and your ideas had to be flawless. But what I learned is that's just not true at all. What is true is you just have to start. You've just got to do something. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about the song that really changed my life forever. It was the song that got me my very first publishing deal, and how I almost blew it by not finishing it. Because I didn't think it was perfect enough. I didn't think it was big enough. So I was living in San Francisco at the time, and a publishing company was coming in to do a song screening. Meaning basically there were talent scouts coming around looking for new songwriters or new songs. And I was going to get the opportunity to play one of my songs for this publishing company with the hopes that maybe they would like the song and sign me to a publishing deal. So I had this song that I had written, and I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't know. I was just a beginning songwriter. And I had made a demo of it, and it was a pretty poor quality demo. Actually, it was a very poor quality demo. I think I had recorded it on a 4-track tape recorder with no microphone, just with the microphone built into the tape recorder. And I had done a performance of this song, and I liked it, but I mean, to be honest with you, it really sounded terrible. So because this seemed like a big opportunity for me, I ended up buying all of this equipment. I got a multi-track recorder, and I got a nice microphone. And I couldn't afford any of that at the time, but I just figured I was going to demo this song and make a recording that is just going to blow people away. And here's what I did. I started recording that, and I worked on that thing for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I put myself under so much pressure. I recorded the piano part probably 25, 30 times. I recorded the guitar part probably, 100 times. And the vocal, oh my God, I'm telling you, I recorded that vocal probably 200 or 300 times. I just recorded it and re-recorded it, and I would listen back to it, and I'd be like, oh, I can do this part better, or I can do that part better. I put myself under so much pressure because I thought this was my one shot, and it had to be perfect. So I finally get this demo done, and I play it for my friends. And my friends listened to it, and they were like, dude, what is this? This doesn't even sound like you. That's not the song you played for me a couple of weeks ago. And what had happened is I had just overthought this so much. I was like crippled in fear because I was putting myself under so much pressure. I wanted this to be perfect. And what I did was I made it awful. So one of my very good friends at the time said, dude, that original demo you played for me was awesome. And I said, you mean that crappy recording with no microphone, and I thought that sounded terrible. He's like, no, dude, that was amazing. That song was amazing. So I took that original recording and I went to the song screening with his publishing company. And that night, that song, that crappy original demo, got me my very first publishing deal and changed my life forever. So my point about this is you have to start with what you've got. Don't let the fact that you don't have the perfect setup keep you from starting. Now, if I wouldn't have played that song for them because I didn't think that the demo sounded good enough, I would have never gotten that publishing deal. And my career might very well have not happened. Think about that. I thought I had to start so big. I thought that I had to have the perfect demo and the perfect song. But that clearly was not the case. What I had to do was just start. Start where I was. And what I learned from that experience was something that I've never forgotten. And that's this. The things that feel really small to you may already be big to someone else. We have a tendency to get so close to our own ideas, our own voice, that we can't always tell when something's actually working. We get lost in the details and obsess over making things better instead of letting things be. And here's the cool part. No one else sees all of the flaws that you're focused on. They just hear the truth in it. They feel the intent. And that's what connects with people. So if you're sitting on an idea and you think it's not ready, you just got to ask yourself this. What if it's ready enough? What if the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to go is the belief that it has to be perfect before you start? Now, I'm going to tell you a story about how I nearly blew it as the producer of my band 6 a.m. because I was such a perfectionist. We were on a very tight writing, recording, and then touring schedule. So we had to be very efficient in the studio, writing songs, recording them, putting albums out, and then getting out on the road. And as the producer of the band, a lot of that responsibility fell on me. I would record the band and then I would spend time, manipulating the tracks and arranging the songs and mixing the songs. And we had a pretty good system worked out. But the problem was I was such a perfectionist that I would just overthink everything about these tracks to the point where it was quite self-crippling, and I would hang on to them way longer than I should have. Like I was supposed to be sending songs to the record label so they could be preparing for the album release and for the tour. But because of my perfectionism and my fear of letting things go, I just held on to them way too long. And I remember getting a call from the label one day saying, "You guys are about to miss your tour dates because we don't have any music." And that was a real wake-up call to me. They were right. And that's just an example of how the fear of not being perfect can actually hold you back. It can keep you from making the progress that you need to make. So if you're hanging on to ideas or plans or dreams because you're afraid to just get started, think of all the possibilities that you could be missing out on. Now, I'm going to tell you one more story, and this one is a little bit more recent. A few months ago, I got this idea that I wanted to start recording again, but not songs. I wanted to record my thoughts, just raw personal stuff that I hadn't shared before, like what you're listening to right now. And at first, it felt kind of embarrassing. Like, who am I to be putting this stuff out there? Who's going to care? But I sat down one morning and I just started. I just pressed record and started talking. And it felt honest to me. So I posted it without thinking too much about it. And you know what happened? Somebody messaged me and they said, I really needed to hear that today. And that was it. That just meant everything to me. Because it reminded me again that starting small doesn't mean you're thinking small. It means you're brave enough to try, brave enough to begin. Look, I know how scary it is to take that leap, especially when you feel like you're behind or you're late to the game or just overwhelmed. But the truth is this: the only way forward is through the mess of starting. You know, not after the fear goes away, not when it's perfect, not once you've figured everything out, just right now, with what you have, with what you know, and with who you are. That's always been enough, and it still is. So, if you're waiting for that perfect moment, I'm telling you, this is it. This is that moment. You know, sometimes I think about how many ideas I've talked myself out of, like things that I wanted to do or say or try, but I just didn't because I thought they weren't good enough, or I wasn't ready, or it just wasn't the right time. And every time I let one of those ideas die, I feel like a part of me just went quiet. You know, it's really easy to bury your dreams under excuses. It's easy to just say, well, if I had better gear, or if I had more time, or if I knew the right people. But I'm telling you from experience, those things just don't matter nearly as much as you think they do. What matters is movement, momentum. Even the tiniest step forward is powerful. It's more powerful than a perfect plan just sitting on a shelf. You know, here's the truth. There will never be a perfect moment. No one is coming around to give you permission. No one's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, you know, you've officially earned the right to start. You just have to start anyway. You've got to start scared, unprepared, unpolished, exactly the way you are. Because if you wait until you feel ready, you're just never going to move. And if you wait until it's easy, you're never going to grow. So if you're listening to this right now and something inside of you is awake, don't ignore that. That's the real you. That's the part that remembers who you were before fear started running the show. Give that version of you some space. Let it speak. Let it move. Because starting might feel small, but it's actually the biggest thing you can do. It means you believe there's something worth chasing. And that belief is the beginning of everything. I hope you enjoyed this today. And if you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Take care.